After any major event, the question arises, what will happen to the stadiums? Now we are going to try and answer that big question with our following guest, with our following speakers in the next panel session under the name After the Whistle, Ensuring Sustainable Use of Stadiums Post-Event. In a few seconds, we will have now on stage Axelle Depsatures, Director Comercial and Marketing ONET, Ramon Gonzalez, Senior Client Partner Sportian, also Michiel Vanderheyden, Director The Arena Group. We will also have on stage Sven Wiltink, Global Senior Director Sustainability, Radisson Hotel Group. And the moderator of this next panel session is Alex Scotcher, SVP International Elevate. So please, let's receive with a round of applause Axelle Depsatures, Ramon Gonzalez, Michiel Vanderheyden, Sven Wiltink, and Alex Scotcher. Un aplauso para todos ellos, por favor. Hello, hola, bienvenidos. Thank you, welcome. Welcome, thank you, hola. So, Alex, all yours, enjoy, see you later, thank you. Thank you.
Please, guys, take a seat. We're going to do our best today to navigate sustainability, a very broad topic we appreciate, and we're going to cover off environmental and social sustainability, and of course commercial sustainability when it comes to venue. We'll try and do that as broadly, but try and get in some of the practicalities that people can take away from this session to apply to their places of work and their visions for their businesses. Nearly all football clubs have said that sustainability is important. 80% of fans say that the club has the responsibility to reduce their environmental impact. Corporate sustainability reporting directives mean this is going to be very transparent and has to be disclosed. We're seeing the emergence of more chief sustainability officers at clubs and leagues and venues. And then, of course, on the commercial side, scrutiny has never been higher on sustainability in that space. New venues and associated permissions are contingent on fulfilling these criteria. And of course, we're also seeing, as we get deeper into the commercial side, sponsorship positioned against sustainability narratives within clubs and leagues. So, Sven, perhaps we could start with you. Net zero and commitments to UN targets make for great headlines, but perhaps we can get into a little bit of the detail and exactly what do we mean by net zero and exactly what are the commitments required to get there. Coming from, obviously, Radisson in the hotel group, how does that play out across your area of work?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thanks for starting light. I think if we look at net zero, it's very abstract. So it's something you need to drill down and actually give it a human touch. What does it mean for me in my day-to-day life and operations? From a hotel perspective, it means that we bring down all our carbon emissions to almost zero, and then the final part we can compensate. As a group, we're focusing on our energy consumption. So how can we transition away from fossil fuels, electrify, from there to invest in renewable energy, to green the portfolio. And that's one part. Then the other part is, of course, what you do with all your food and beverage, your waste management, the commuting of your team's business travel. So let's call it the scope 3, to stay in greenhouse gas terms. And that's a very interesting one, because that requires you as well to not just invest, but also work with your suppliers, with your clients, and in our case, our franchise hotels, to bring that down. And that's something you can directly translate as well to the football industry, to fans and fan base, how they can involve in that journey. So from our perspective, we've been very focal to our teams. We called the campaign was called Move to Zero, where we focus on 6 key elements which are very tangible, focusing on energy efficiency in the hotels. Making sure, and it sounds silly, but making sure you switch off your computer if you're not using it, switch off the lights if the outlet is not used, disconnect the central lighting system and make sure that you use the building management system as such, focusing on water efficiency. Then the way we are traveling, so we are, as a group, as Radisson Hotel Group, we're very much focused on stepping away from fossil fuels, but that means as well, what do you offer to your guests? Do you have parking facilities, and do you provide EV chargers at the parking facilities? Do you have partnerships in place for, certainly in the city centers, to connect with e-mobility, thinking of, first of all, your taxis. Are they hybrid? Are they electric vehicles? But also the e-scooters. Can you connect your rewards loyalty program with partners like this? So it's, in the wider sense, it is really working with all the different stakeholders. And then I was just saying before, but it's very important that you focus on the small things. So a guest will focus on, well, this is a very good example where there is actually a reusable bottle, but you still see the small miniature plastic bottles. You still see the soap dispensers coming now into play, but that's EU regulation. So it's kind of following the curve or trying to be ahead of the curve. But at the same side, you're talking with investors in the process of a new hotel. What are the sustainability attributes you include? Are we focusing on electrification of the building? How do we capture our water from rain to actually irrigate the landscape or use it for toilets? So it needs to be part of the design phase, and that's it's an interesting journey, but you need to break it down into the tangible pieces.
Yeah, and how important is that sustainability conversation for investors, and how is it different with the conversation you also have with customers?
It's shifting. So before it was a nice to have, and I think post-pandemic we really seen an uplift from investors on the interest in sustainability. But at the same time, there's also the regulations which are coming into play. EU taxonomy, right now CSRD is a huge topic where we need to start reporting on the steps we're taking, and not just a nice to have report, but very detailed with a lot of data. And that's something which it's initial for investors to jump on and be able to actually invest in the green bonds and invest in future, well, certainly for us, future buildings. Because if we look at our portfolio, about 70% of our portfolio will still be there by 2050. As Radisson Hotel Group, we have our net zero target by 2050. So that means that the entire portfolio, or at least that 70%, we need to address now, and in order to get it future ready and make sure that it's not a stranded asset by the end of its life.
Thanks, Sven. And Axelle, we've heard a little bit about some of those small things, those practical applications. Perhaps you could expand a little bit on the work that you can do. So, beyond organisations doing the right thing, how have you seen those practical applications with the clients that you work with? And I guess more important for the audience, how are they tangible and how are they measurable to the benefit of the range of stakeholders we just mentioned?
Thanks, Alex. And thanks to the World Football Summit to have us and for the invitation. It's a huge pleasure for me. I represent ONET. We are a facility management company. I used to say that we are the invisible ones in the stadiums as far as we speak, but always in our environments we are the invisible ones. We're doing cleaning, security. Maybe the security side is more visible, but cleaning, maintenance, it's all the aspect behind the scene, no? And related to your question, it's right that a sustainable stadium will, of course, provide better fan experience and will provide a reduce in the cost. No, you will improve your cost, and the fact is how we as a facility management company, how can we impact on this sustainability aspect? What we do is that we work with our customer to increase productivity with all the efficient coordination of people, place, technology, innovation, processes. So to give you practical examples, as you were asking me, I will talk first about the waste. I guess that this is a main concern today, how we will handle our waste. So we are working, for instance, with one of our customers on looking into a solution about recycling. it's not just recycling, it's doing compost, an automated system, doing compost with your waste. And what will you do then with the compost? Well, two possibilities. You can, for instance, reuse it in the gardens. I mean, not the field, of course, but I mean the gardens, or social impact, because sustainability is always as well about social. And social impact, you can as well look at some donation to local farming communities, for instance, and work with them with this solution. No? Another aspect is the water. Sven was talking about this aspect as well, because it's our main concern, and we are in Seville, and in the south of Spain is much more a concern about this topic. So bringing innovation or introducing innovation with, for instance, autonomous cleaning machines in the cleaning system, we are seeing a reduction of 42% less use of water. So it can seem, okay, 42% is a good number, but then you look, it's only the water you use in your machine. It's a small impact, but we all know that small impacts added are the one doing then the biggest impact, no? So that would be another aspect. And then what we want to do as well is to promote a less use of chemical products. This is a main concern for our health, of course, but using eco-friendly products is as well having a huge impact on the environment.
So really what we're talking about here is actually sustainability practices work that is creating very real difference to the bottom line as well for venues.
Yeah, of course, because then this less use of water or of chemical products, etc., you will see benefits as well in your figures, and that's what everyone is looking for as well.
Yeah, and the longevity of the venue as well for use and
longevity of facilities. Yes, of course. It's our if you're going to invest, for instance, in new facilities. You for sure want them to be kept like that in the long term. So our role as well is huge on facilities preservation, to go along with our customer to help them no, with this preservation.
And Sven, have you seen that very real commercial benefit across your hotel group?
Yeah, certainly. But it's really been driven B2B. So clients expecting sustainability efforts. And that's also, nowadays, that's really increasing, where everyone wants to know what you're doing. There's many more data shared across our database. But the real ambitious clients, they will expect us to have renewable energy. They will expect us that the food we are serving is biological, is locally based, is also nutritious and focusing on well-being. But also how is the food waste handled. So they really want to know the journey as such, and then how that involves sustainability in there. Yeah.
Thank you. Michael, perhaps we could sort of pivot to consider the commercial lens on venue. And nobody really wants a white elephant of a venue that beyond football is empty, isn't being used, obviously underpinned by all the sustainability pieces we've heard now. But what's your view on creating a destination and a 365 venue? And how do you guys in your business go about achieving more sustainable revenue streams after the whistle?
Well, indeed, Alex, maybe to clarify, we are maybe a bit the strange speaker within the panel regarding sustainability, because what we do is we take care of the exploitation of football stadia on non-match days. Maybe first of all, that's a sustainable impact, because 94% of the calendar time of a football stadium, the stadium is empty. And that's what we do as an arena group. So we rent all the available spaces within the football stadium, and we organize different kind of events within that stadium. So I think there is the added value we offer to football clubs, which is interesting, or mainly two added values. First of all, we can guarantee them financial revenue on top of the football revenue. You can ask the question, okay, what is the amount that you can pay to a football club if you compare it to, I would say, a top player that is getting a transfer to another club. But then the difference is that we have a fixed guarantee of that amount. A player is always something, let's say, more uncertain. But so we offer them a financial guarantee, and secondly, we offer them a commercial added value, because what we see is that 90% of companies organizing events within our stadia are companies that don't have any relation yet with the football club. But being or hosted for an event in a football club could be interesting to build up for the football club a commercial relationship towards that company. So we offer two big advantages. And what we see is that more and more football clubs are trying to discover other methods to improve and to gain more revenue. And organizing events in their stadium is one of these interesting solutions.
Amazing. So we're talking over 90% of the time, football stadia aren't being commercialized and aren't driving commercial revenue through the building, through the facilities. Where do you start with a challenge like that? What's the starting point for anyone in the audience that wants to tackle that particular challenge?
Well, I think the most important learning, because we work in Belgium and the Netherlands, compared to Sevilla or Madrid, we don't have huge stadia. We don't have the capacity of 50,000 or 60,000 spectators. We don't have the possibility to organize concerts for Coldplay, for example. But the most important learning towards football clubs is you don't have to have a multifunctional stadium for not thinking multifunctional. So even if you just have a small stadium, even then you can organize events, you can set up creative productions, and you can try to commercialize your stadium. So you don't have to have the big stadium to think on a multifunctional way. I think that's the most important point, and that's a very important learning towards football clubs. And that's what we're trying to change within the market we're working in.
So to achieve those kind of commercial returns and to have those kind of commitments that you as a business put forward, is it old venues, new venues? Do you involve when the spade is going into the ground, or is it across the whole suite?
It's a mixture. As I said, we work mainly in Belgium and the Netherlands. There we have a limited number of new stadiums because it takes a lot of time within these two countries to build new stadia. So we have a mixture of new stadia and old stadia. But even in old stadia, we make a benchmark of the area, the economical possibilities within that area, and then we focus on that area to develop event productions, either towards B2B, either towards B2C. So there are always possibilities.
And do you connect with major event providers, the likes of Live Nation and so on, to work together?
Well, if they could be interested, the first thing that we do, and then we have the link with sustainability, is that we work with the local partners for technical infrastructure, catering, and things like that. And then it depends on the possibilities if either we go for B2B, either B2C / mini concerts.
Absolutely. We're seeing increasingly more and more venues talk about themselves less as football stadiums, more as sports and entertainment destinations. So I think that obviously plays right into the sweet spot of how you see the commercial sustainability of venue.
Exactly, and I think that's quite important because we see changing the football landscape. I think a football club should be aware that what we do as Arena Group is a different business than organizing football games and guiding a football club. It's a different world, the event world. And that's also something that we see more often, is that football clubs in the beginning, they try to do it all themselves. But at a certain moment they see, okay, it's not possible to combine. So that's a second learning, I think, for football clubs. Be aware, it's something completely different.
Thanks, Michael. And Ramon, we've heard from a couple of people up here about the role of technology, or certainly reference technology. It'd be interesting to hear from your perspective and your expertise, how does technology play into the sustainability agenda, and how can we use technology to deliver it? Does it deliver it, or is it merely a facilitator of it? How do you see that role?
So yes, so at the end, the trend, as Michiel was saying, like it's going to how can you monetize, how can you give exceptional experiences to fans after the whistle, no? After the match, not only on the 90 minutes that you have here. So one of the things that you need to do that, you need to have in order to do that is to have technology as a facilitator, as an accelerator. So it's not only the experience behind that, and for that you need to have the proper technology based on the stadium, to have that access into the stadium, to have that organization of the different events that you're planning to do during the pass of the season. And at the end, what you want is to give, how can you give that exceptional experience? And that is exactly what we do from our side, from Sportian. So our mission is how can we reinvent the sports industry and to provide entities to have those technologies in order to be able to achieve that, no? And able to create that exceptional experience to the fan inside the venue, how to understand the fan, how to be able to provide them with segmented campaigns that maintain the sustainability. And not only that, create that extra mile, extra data, extra informs to represent and to efficientize what the ecosystem needs. For example, how to understand how many people you have on different axes, how many people you have buying different stuff, merchandising, food, bars, on the different sides of the stadium. So in order to have that as a better understanding, to efficientize your processes and everything that you do on the venue, technology is an accelerator on that part.
Absolutely. And so we're understanding what we know, and Axelle, perhaps I can come back to you. It might seem a little bit dry, but certification, how important is that in telling the story around sustainability?
Well, certification is, I guess, again, our role is to go along with the customers to help them in getting some certification. It's certification for one side, but again, Ramon was talking about data. I guess data is everything, and if you're able to catch the data, for instance, about the footprint carbon, no? You have on your application for this event the possibility as well to calculate your own footprint, your carbon footprint for the event. And I guess that, for instance, if we as a supplier wants to be a sustainable supplier, we need to be able as well to calculate our carbon footprint for our customers. So it's not only you're going to think, I'm going to ask to my trucker, no, for the footprint, for the carbon footprint, but I'm not necessarily be aware of asking to my facility management provider of this calculation as well. But this calculation, if I'm able to do it, I'm going to help you getting your certification as well, because you're going to be able to prove that you're working with this sustainable provider. We're talking what happened after the whistle, no? And you have to think that for a big stadium, for instance, you can have more than 100 cleaners working to put things back in order, no? After the match. So these 100 people, they have to come to the stadium, and we have to be able to push on a mobility, on a sustainable mobility, and this will for sure help as well on the carbon footprint calculation on my activity, no? And I participate to calculate my footprint on the activity to help the customer to be able as well to have this calculation and help them with getting the certification they want to get.
Thanks, Axelle. So, from my perspective, having worked for and with a number of football clubs, I think perhaps the biggest challenge when we talk about driving sustainability through venues, through football, and driving sustainability across the venue outside of football is about managing the stakeholders. And perhaps, Sven, in your role with Radisson, you could explain that a little bit more to the audience, because making sure that every stakeholder is on board with the journey must be one of your principal challenges?
For 70% of the people, yeah, but you need to find that right balance. And I kind of want to come back on the certification part, because it's very important that what you do, you actually can prove. Certification is key in the products we use, but also as a process, and of course, in my case, how we do the operations in our hotel. And having a stamp of approval from a third party allows us as well to talk to the different stakeholders. It allows us to talk to a guest to say, this is what we're doing. Let's take an eco-label as an example, or a building certification, but eco-label is more tangible. It shows that we're not having single-use plastic in the operations. It shows that we're focusing on energy efficiency. And at the same time, that label you can also use to talk to your owner, in your investor, who is potentially interested in additional hotels in the portfolio. And at the same time, we're talking with our clients who are interested in our sustainability credentials. So it reaches a lot of different stakeholders by just making sure that your hotel is certified. So I think that the certification part is quite interesting. Then how you reach your all your guests, how do you make them part of the journey? And anyone can be taken by the hand and be part of the journey. Some people are really interested in it, and some people are like, sustainability, I'll live my time and that's it. And that's where you need to find that balance as well. You need to make it easy, accessible for people to participate, if it's not already automated.
Yeah, that's really clear. I think just with the last just under 15 minutes that we've got with the panel, we sort of promised some practical takeaways from such a broad topic. And maybe we can start with you, Michael, in terms of what can people at this conference and in this audience do Monday morning when they get back to their places of work, they get back to their venues, they get back to their clubs, leagues, investor groups. What, from your perspective, can they do first thing to make a difference to create a more sustainable commercial venue? And then we'll move to the environmental piece after you, Michael.
Well, for us, it's, let's say we are a bit dependent on what the football clubs decide and how far they would like to go regarding the sustainability policy, because they host the infrastructure and we come afterwards. But what we could see is that in Belgium and the Netherlands, all the football clubs are really continuing to make the stadia more sustainable. And then secondly, that's our role. When we organize events, we have to continue that flow by, as I said, working with local partners, trying to reflect our visitors to act in a sustainable way. So I think this is a process that is going on. And what we see is that companies are more and more interested in hosting events in venues that are sustainable or getting sustainable. Because it's very important, linked to their image and to their sustainability policy. So I think it's a, let us say, a hand-in-hand, continuous story.
Fantastic. And Ramon, I go to you with a little bit of a further question around technology. What can people do as of Monday? But more interestingly, perhaps, what are you seeing when you enter venues, clubs, rights holders leagues? What are you seeing the state? What does the technology estate look like from your perspective? Are we moving in the right direction? Are we miles off where we need to be? Are we leaving a lot of revenue and data behind? What's the status as you're seeing it, and what can people do to change that?
So I think the journey that we are going through right now is the correct way, and that's going to be taking decisions that are data-driven, not taking decisions out of nothing. And I think one of the things that could be done from Monday, it could start from one main idea, and it's a start not having silos around the organization. It's a start connecting the dots. Having data isolated in some points, it does not help to the rest of the organization. So if you collect all that data into one place and you start understanding the different parts of the ecosystem that you have built for your stadium, for your organization, it will help on going back to that journey. Of course, there are some technologies that are very top of the line, very new, and that is the vision of where everyone is going. But if you would like to start on Monday, I would suggest to start seeing how can you connect all those isolated places into one point and start understanding and start taking decisions based on that data.
And the customers and clients that engage you and your business to do that, what's their principal driver? You know, have you come across sustainability as a key driver to making those changes? Or is it more around a single fan view and monetization of fan?
So it depends on the stage and the main problem. Of course, revenue and how to create that experience, it's a very important part, but also sustainability. And as I was saying before, one of the things that we're working together with different clubs here is something as simple as understand what is going on a stadium night, on a game night or on an event night, and understanding how many people is buying different things, how many people is entering to different gates, and with that taking decisions on how to play the rest of the ecosystem, how to bring more people to the cleaning part, how to bring more people or bars to different sites, and how to be able to segmentate the different campaigns that they're having in order for them to capture all those points that you were saying.
Thanks, Ramon. And Axelle, I think you've already given everybody here some remarkable practical applications with real commercial value. But Monday morning, 9 a.m., what should people take away? What's the first thing people should start to consider?
I was just thinking about a small example. Again, our activity seems like it's all the small things that you can do, no, in post-event, but something that maybe we don't think about sometimes, it's the noise pollution, contamination, and in post-event, thinking about this noise contamination, noise pollution, I don't know what is the correct word, sorry, and there is something in the cleaning activities that we use a lot in stadiums. It's blowers, okay, to remove all the waste, and if you think about doing just a little change of the gas-powered blowers that we are all mostly using to electric ones, the level of decibels that you can reduce is 30%, and noise pollution is as well an element of contamination for the environment, no? So it's just think about sometimes little things that you can change and can have then an impact on your activity.
Thanks, Axelle.
And on the environment as well.
And Sven, to yourself, 9 a.m. Monday. What do you think people should take away and start moving?
Well, first of all, I would challenge anyone not to start on Monday 9 a.m., but when they leave the room here today. That is one. Because sustainability, the focus on sustainability cannot wait. I think the signals are clear in the world. And I'm certainly not here to convert anyone to focus more on sustainability, but it's part of our day-to-day life, and not just at work, but whatever we do. And we certainly need to focus on all the small things we can do, but it's also important to look at the bigger picture and the systematic change which is needed to tackle the climate impact we are making, and also the loss on biodiversity. So even if it's today walking away with a reusable water bottle and actually telling other people that it's very easy in use and you can take it anywhere, that already helps. And it's something which I absolutely agree, the small elements in life which you can identify yourself with, that is something to share further. So I would certainly not wait for Monday. Start now. Yeah.
Thanks. And just with a few final minutes that we've got, forgive me, just bring it back to a world that I spend more of my time in that partnership and sponsorship world. Do you see a more of a, and I throw this open to the panel as a whole, we've seen some sponsorship in football and with venue leveraged against a range of major narratives, and one emerging is around sustainability. Do you guys, as experts in that space, and I ask also on the commercial side and technological side, do you see that as authentic, and can it remain authentic to broker a sustainability play with a major brand spending rights fees in that space? Do we see that as an authentic proposition in the market?
Yeah, if I may, I think so, yeah. It is something which well, in my case for a hotel it's the guest, but for football clubs it's the fans. And you will have different levels of fans, but the youth is a very big part of that group, and they don't just want it, it's their lives as well for the future. And that's something which is, you see that coming back, and therefore it becomes more and more authentic. It's not anymore a marketing element which needs to be explained, okay, we're doing something good or we're something green. That's what I mean with the systematic change. It goes through all the different levels and all the different stakeholders, and it becomes more and more authentic. And everything which is not authentic, by regulation, that will be cleaned out soon as well.
Interesting. Axelle?
Not particularly. It's not. I mean, it's harder for me to answer this question, but I will let my colleagues to get this one.
I mean, I agree with Sven. It's something that goes. But I think more even on a sponsorship part. I think it has to go more on a partnership side. It has to go more into if the club direction goes on the same value of the companies. If that's something that aligns, I take it as an authentic gesture.
And then, of course, underpinned by the data and that engagement with fans adds extra value.
100%, yeah. It's something that it helps everyone in the ecosystem to have that understanding and to be able to take decisions based on that, to have better activations, to have better experiences at the venue, outside the venue. So yeah.
And Michael, perhaps a different view. Have you seen through your work brands engaging more avidly with venues that are more than football? Have you facilitated those conversations, and do you see them more and more?
Regarding sustainability, you mean?
Regarding having a full and functioning venue with events and activity and a different data landscape of the people moving through.
Well, I think there is still some work to do. Is that what we see is that football clubs, they have their sponsors, and then we have the separate world of after the whistle. But I think there are more possibilities for the company sponsoring football clubs, that they keep continuing even after the whistle. If you can offer these companies a combined story, one story, and not only related to that football game or the football colors, but even related to the football stadium and the environment. So I think there is still some work in progress and some potential.
Thank you. And just to move to the last couple of minutes, just some closing thoughts, maybe perhaps just for the audience here. Sven, anything else that you think that would be a real value for people to take away, talking about sustainability? You know, what would you say?
I think there's a lot of good practices out there. And I'm not too familiar with the football industry as such, but I've done a bit of research. And it's really interesting what you see coming to life, what football clubs are focusing on, either with their stadium buildings, investing in solar installations, for example, on the rooftop, or water catchment for irrigation and toilet facilities. But also looking at the social part, like how do they work with the community, how can they use the players in a way to connect with the fans and drive the sustainability messaging as well. And I can only encourage to look further around and to really see what is happening within, certainly in the UK, for example, there's quite a few clubs grouping together and don't work in silos. This is something we're all focusing on the same thing, so really drive this as part of our global challenges.
Thanks, Sven. And any final thoughts also from you, Axelle?
The good point, I think, is that you see that you have a huge panel, no, of suppliers who are able to discuss about this topic, sustainability, and to come along, no, with the clubs. And so I guess it's like that they can rely on us, no, to go along with them with their goals into sustainability. We, as well as companies, we have our own goals about sustainability, and that's why I guess this alliance is important to come with all this small action that will help us to have the biggest impact that we are both looking for at the end.
So the key is good working partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
And Ramon?
For me, I think I would re-go onto the idea, not work in silos, start connecting everything together, and see technology not as the cherry on top of everything, but as a base that creates that baseline in order to take good decisions, data-driven decisions for the rest of the ecosystem.
And Michael, to finish.
To end, maybe just a sustainable message, because what looks more sustainable than organizing an event in a venue looking at a green pitch?
That's great. Well, we'd like to say thank you very much to our panelists today, and I think everyone will be here for the remainder of the conference, so please feel free to grab myself and our panelists, but in the meantime, please give everyone a big thank you.
Thank you.